Hello, my name is Regan Taylor. Thank you, Leslie and Lori, for taking a look at my Task 3 assignment, as I was not able to complete the assignment before because I didn't have a skater placed in the top half of nationals, so I'm very thankful to have this opportunity. So the skater I will be showing you, her name is Emily. She has poor confidence at this level because she only moved into the competitive stream at the tail end of her novice year, after being sort of labeled a star skater all her life and working really hard. She won gold at our provincial championships, so she had to decide, is she going to take it further or just stay where she was? So she wanted the challenge, so she moved into novice and junior in the competitive stream. She has lots of desire to improve, and she had a hard work ethic. She was also very intelligent, which also made her extremely coachable. So this skater was a pleasure to work with her. I just wish she had much more confidence when it came to competing. So some of the challenges for her moving to the junior level was that she had weak program components, and a majority of it did come from not having a lot of confidence, which takes away from your performance and execution skills. But one of her first competitions at the junior level, I showed her that she was more behind the other skaters in her program components than she was in her technical, and I had to prove it to her by taking all the skater scores and showing her their rank, but showing her where she would have placed had the competition only been on program component scores. So every single time she would have dropped 2 or 3 placements, just based on her program component scores. So that's what was pulling her down. So in terms of the footwork, because that's what you want to see, our primary goal when we first built the program was to get a level 2, which just required having the clean turns. The secondary goal, after getting her comfortable with it, was making sure that the clusters counted, so the parts with the 3 different difficult turns that are connected. And then the long-term goal was to get a positive GUE, so having it be effortless and performing it to the music and hitting all the notes that we were trying to hit. So at the beginning, when we were doing the choreography, we had to investigate and play with clusters that she could do. So we wanted to show, I wanted to show ability on both feet to reflect in the skating skills mark. So we had to do 1 cluster on one foot and 1 cluster on the other foot. Then once those were set, we made those part of her warm-up exercises, so she was doing those every single day that she stepped onto the ice, so that they would become effortless in movement. And we placed the footwork at the end of the program, which was just due to the program music, because it's really said this is where the footwork goes, and it has to be high energy, and it has to be intricate, and it has to be fun. And that could be a little crazy too. So then after that, when we started choreographing it, we started experimenting with the music and let the music lead the steps. So we figured out where the clusters would fit in, and then started getting ideas of where the really important notes were and how to hit them and what to hit them with, like what type of movements. So the music said to us that we were going to be a mad conductor for this program, so that was the idea. So that meant that the movements had to be sharp because she's conducting music, but conductors are also flowy. They don't just, jab things at their people playing the instruments. So, and it also had to be interesting. And in terms of making sure the technical panel didn't miss anything, or the judges, it needed to have a clear beginning and ending of the footwork. So to get the beginning, we started with a big ta-da beat. So and a big movement. So there's a big giant falling leaf that sets the start of the music. And after that, it gets really busy, and that's where all the steps fit in. So here is the first performance of the footwork. So you can kind of get an idea of the character we were trying to portray, but there's definitely a lot of problems in that. So the results were, she got step sequence level 2, which was the first goal, a very slight positive GOE, even though I wouldn't have given it a positive GOE. And her program component scores for that competition was 28.13, which I kind of thought was a little bit generous as well. So analysis after that, so what we needed to improve was technical. The turns needed to be cleaner and effortless. So obviously this will be reflected in the skating skills mark as well, but also in the levels that get called and the clusters. So on top of that, it needed more character. So she was still in her no confidence phase, so there's no facial expressions or expressions within the movements. So you can see a hint of it, but then it goes blah again for a while. And then we have a hint of character, and then it goes blah again for a while. So we needed more emotion connected with the movement, certainly more character or carriage and posture, and we needed a little bit more speed and flow. It almost looks like she loses balance a couple times. We needed more upper body engagement, so more of the core, just to even make it more interesting. And she needed to connect with the people watching her. So not just the judges, but the audience, and also with herself. So some of the coaching interventions I used, I brought in a dance specialist to work with her, one that could do all types of dance. So work on the posture and carriage because she has the ballet background, but she also can do contemporary and lyrical, and most importantly musical theater, which ties into the performance aspect and the sort of selling it and getting into character. We also got feedback from one of the competitions and paid for that service. We brought in a gold level judge to work with her both on ice and off the ice. And then some of the coaching interventions I used were working on parts of the program and drills. So besides working on the footwork separately, we did things where, we worked on connecting the back half of the program. So adding the jumps in, but also really working on the choreography while she has to do the jumps. So not separating the jumps from the choreography and working on them separately, but working on them at the same time. And here is a tiny portion of a lesson of me and Emily working on her long footwork. Up, down. So go from just the last 3 turns where you're really going over. So, yeah. So this is part of the feedback service that we got, which is very helpful because the assessor was awesome, and it was just so nice to reiterate from somebody else, especially a judge, some of the things that I have said in the past, or just that reinforcement. So in case this is too hard to read, I will read parts of it. So she said that she wanted to encourage Emily to keep working on her edge control and overall flow in the skating skills mark, and that there was definitely a lack of flow in the step sequence, and she needed to try to work on her speed during the program. She thought Emily's transitions were very strong. She just wanted to see more transitions into the elements like the spins and the jumps. In terms of choreography, she said that she needed more clarity in her movement and that it had to show her style and personality because she was very reserved in competition, as you could see, and definitely to work on her carriage, especially in the shoulders. And that was the performance execution mark. In terms of the choreography, she was a little wary about fully using the ice. And interpretation, she felt that she was concentrating too much on the music rather than connecting to the style and character of the program. So after this, we set a new goal that we wanted to get the program component scores into the 4s, because as you can see, they're mostly under 4. So the specialist that I brought in to work with Emily, as I mentioned before, Natalie was the dance instructor, and she worked with all forms of dance and musical theater. So she worked with Emily in a class, but she also worked with her a little bit one-on-one, just off the ice, sort of connecting with her music and figuring it out, as well as Denise, who is a gold level judge. So we brought her in to work with her on the ice one day and said, okay, what do we have to do to get 4s? And she was very good because she has a dance background, and in terms of telling Emily she needed to feel like she was bleeding here in the slow, and making things more juicy, and incorporating all parts of the body. So that was very fabulous. And they also worked together off the ice, just on parts like the opening and the ending and the footwork. So putting the improvement into numbers, I have a math and science background, so this is what I love to do. And I would track Emily's total scores, program component scores, PC scores, everything. But I started tracking her PC scores, and I tried to make a prediction of where we wanted to be if we continued on the same improvement pattern by the section championships, which is where this line is. So a few months later, at the section champions, this is what we have. Oops, sorry. Trying to turn the music up, but it's not going to go. So as you can see from that, sorry the music was so quiet, that it was a much, much better performance. More confidence, which led to more better performance and execution, because she could project to the audience, project within herself. There's more facial expressions, there's sharper movements, there's more upper body. It was just far, far better. So at this competition, which was the sections, we were absolutely thrilled to get a level 4 called, but also another positive GOE. So that was really, really exciting. And her overall program components, she got her highest score that she'd ever gotten, which was 30.64. So a great personal best. So the differences that you could see between the two little snapshots of footwork is definitely more speed and clarity of movements, more character as presented in the interpretation and performance of the footwork and the music. Clarity in the steps, they perform much better. More connection with herself, her music, and her audience. She was hitting the notes on time. There was even a part, I don't know if you can tell, she was slightly ahead, and she waited to make sure that she did something right on the right beat. Much better carriage. The parts that you can't see, because it's just the footwork, is there's more speed throughout the program. We had more transitions. We had incorporated a lot of transitions into her spins and certain elements. She had better connection throughout the entire program, and so her skating skills and presentation, performance, everything was all better. Yeah. Sorry. So total point difference in the skaters from one section championship to the next, because I wanted to show Emily how proud of her I was on her improvement. These are all the skaters that she had competed against the year before, in the order that they placed higher than her. I think she was really about 16th or 17th, but of course a few quit. And it showed the difference in their scores from the first year to the second year. It's interesting to note that the 4 skaters who actually performed worse were all provincial team members. from the previous year, and they performed poorly from one year to the next. But Emily improved by 50% from her score from the previous sections, and more than anybody else that she competed against. So I was pretty excited as a coach for that. So summary regarding her footwork sequence. I feel it has to be the most interesting piece of the program for any skater, especially at that high level. It definitely needs to be done with the music. So the music drives the skating to the point that the skating actually looks like it drives the music. The technical is so important in the footwork that the turns need to be clean, but it also has to be blended with the artistic, so it shouldn't look like skaters are trying to do difficult turns and concentrating on them. So summarizing choreography and how I feel about it, the pattern should have ice coverage. So it should be interesting and use the multi-directions of skating. So, turning both directions, even though they're obviously going to be better at one. Using body movements that use different levels of space and turn in different directions. And of course, all of this is aligned with the technical mark as well. The interpretation in the footwork, the movement should match both the theme and the music. So they have to reflect the character and they have to reflect the highlights in the music, whether it's the harmony or the melody. And the skaters need to show that connection with the music. It has to be mentally, so you have to see it in their face, which ties into emotionally too, and physically, like using their whole body to do it, not just like their feet doing the turns or, a simple little hand movement. For performance and execution, overlaps, of course, it needs to engage the whole body, including the facial expressions, and the skaters need to project to all areas of the venue, not just with the judges. And that also includes projecting within themselves. Skating skills are tied to the choreography and the technical mark. So if you have good, clean turns and they've got speed and they've got flow, then your skating skills mark is going to go up, but so is the technical for the footwork, assuming that it's planned out right. And you need to show speed and flow while performing that difficult footwork. So I like the term effortless difficulty. Transitions throughout the program have to be in that seamless manner. So going back to that effortless difficulty, so that there's not just plain old crossovers and stuff like that. It needs to blend the elements from one element to the other. And it has to match the theme and music and the character of the program. And that is the end of my Task 3 presentation on choreography. Thank you so much for taking the time to review this. I hope I didn't fill you or bore you with things that were not necessary, as I wasn't at your course. And I just wanted to make sure I got all my bases covered. Thanks again for your time in watching this. Thank you. Bye.